Alrighty, yo, so this is what happened, right? I actually created a 40-minute video on the timeline itself because I just wasn't prepared at all. Like, I haven't prepared anything for this series at all, right? Just like basic notes and like a basic component that I created on myself on the side, but nothing much, right? And yo, like it just turned out to be really bad. So I got rid of everything and I'm gonna start again. Like that was so long though. But anyway, I'm gonna try and keep this like under like 20 minutes if I can. But the timeline part is actually the most complicated part out of like everything. Trust me. Like it took me a while to build it as well. But okay, anyway, getting back to it, what I want to do first is if you look at our app, this is what it looks like, right? Um, I'm not sure if I changed something in the video that I was creating, but I think yeah, this is what it looks like, right? So what I want to do is like just before we get started with the timeline, let's actually add the background, right? So just so we can see everything more clearly and more like the actual application. So I'm gonna go to the original website, click on the body, and then you're gonna see a background image. So I'm gonna reveal, open a new tab, save it, and then I'm gonna save it inside the assets, images, and then we had a background, right? So as in we don't have a background, but I saved it before, but just save it as bg.png, right? Save, replace, whatever, okay? And then let's add the CSS where we actually add the background to our website. So I'm gonna go into the index.css, right? So index.css, in here, I'm gonna write 3 lines of code, which is that. So we need a background color, which is slightly grayish, right? Overflow hidden. This is the only reason I have this is just in case we go to different screen size or something, and just in case if something goes outside the screen towards the right, maybe. I just want to hide it. I don't think that will happen, but just to be safe, right? I want to hide it. So let's have overflow as hidden, and the background URL, refer to it like so. We saved it inside assets, images, widget.png, and I'm going to save that, and there we go. So if I close that, we kind of have a background that looks like that, right? So we have that. Okay, so getting to the timeline, hopefully I can do it right this time. So what I'm going to do is let's go back to our code. Oops, not that. So inside the profile, I'm going to call timeline. So import. So we're building a custom timeline, right? So Material UI already have a timeline component. So we're actually building a custom timeline. Custom timeline, which that's what I'm gonna call it. From slash, where do you want to go to? So we're inside the profile. I want to go back one step and then into the timeline. So inside the timeline and then call timeline.js, which we haven't created yet. And then let's replace this with custom timeline. Custom timeline. Okay, we're gonna have to pass in some props and items and all of that, but we're gonna see. Okay, so before, if I save, I'm gonna get an error for now, but okay, let me just save. So we'll have to come back to profile and let's create the custom timeline, right? So inside the timeline, let's do a new file. I'm gonna call it timeline.js, and then we're definitely gonna need a CSS as well. So we have another error because the timeline.js is empty. So new file, timeline.css. All right, let's concentrate on the timeline.js. Cool. So again, RAFCE, enter, save, and if I have timeline here, we just write it down. Let's see if it works. Nice. So we do get a timeline. I'm just gonna have a sip of water. Okay, so we do get the timeline, and yeah, let's go to Material UI. We have going to timeline, so going to this link here, and then we're gonna copy the most basic timeline because that's exactly what we wanted to look at, right? So you have a timeline, elements with items on the right, and then we're gonna style all of this, right? So we're gonna copy the most basic timeline to have. So I'm gonna copy the imports first, okay? Paste them right there, and I'm also going to import the CSS file that we created, which is empty for now, but let's bring that in, timeline.css, and then in here I'm going to copy the timeline till there, copy, and paste that. So let's see what we have. If you go into application, no, wait, what's this error? Timeline has already, oh wait, okay. So remember I say timeline, material UI already has timeline. So I'm just gonna rename ours to custom timeline. Custom timeline. And then we also have to export this as custom timeline. Right, so if I save that, there we go. So we have some sort of timeline, which is like kinda like this, but really not like that, right? It's kind of different as well, like very different. But let's start styling everything. So before I start styling, there's a couple things that I want to say. Okay, so in this component, we're gonna have style everything, but all of these items are gonna come in from the file, as in from the component that we called the timeline from, right? So the timeline is just gonna have all of this styling and the titles, right? The styling for the titles. So we're gonna separate this into two different parts. One is the timeline title or the header, right? And the rest is just the remaining items. Because if you look at this, the timeline header has a different font compared to the rest. The dots in there is different. So for example, this is outlined while this is solid, right? This one has an icon while the rest don't. Small stuff, like small detail like that, I guess. We're just gonna like work on that, right? So so if you guys don't, we're gonna bring all of this as a child into this component. But if you guys don't know, you're gonna see it later, okay? So we have that for now, right? So at the moment we have 3 items, 1, 2, and 3, right? I'm just gonna have 2, right? So timeline item. So let's give this a comment of item 1 or header, and then under it we're gonna have remaining items. Remaining items. So in the remaining items we have the code and the slip. I'm just gonna have 1 for now, right? You guys are gonna understand what's happening. So save. Okay, it's gonna be the same thing. But yeah, let's start styling it, I guess. Okay, we're gonna have to pass in a couple of class names. So let's do this. For the main timeline, let's give it a class name. Class name of let's say timeline itself. So we can refer to this as the timeline. So for the header, it's gonna be different class names as the remaining items. And the remaining items, I'm not even gonna call it here. We're gonna call it from the component, like for example the profile component, right? But just so we can see what's happening, I'm gonna have it here as well for now. Okay, so the timeline item, it's gonna have a class name of timeline first item. So class name. Okay, so let's give this a timeline underscore. So this is gonna be the first item, right? So this is the first item, for example, right? That's the first item, and that's the remaining items. Or here, this is the first item, and that's the remaining items. So let's go back there. So timeline first item. So the dot. So remember this is the dot, right? So let's give that a class name. So class name equals to. Wow, I'm freezing here. Okay. Class name is equal to timeline dot. Let's give this a proper class name. So timeline underscore dot underscore for the header, right? So for the header it's going to be a different class name, and for the other items it's going to be a different class name. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, so let me copy this and paste it there. Okay, timeline. So this time it's not going to be a header, right? So we might, what else do we need? So for the contents, so the content is gonna come from the component. We don't want to hard code it, right? So what's gonna be in here? It's gonna be the item, the title, right? Title. Okay, and this will come from the prop. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna destructure it right here. So title. And by the way, if you guys don't know what destructuring is, it's basically, you know how we get in the prop here, and then we can say prop.title. It's the same thing as that. So what I'm saying is get the title from the prop. So create a constant, so something like that. Create a constant called title, and that comes from the props. Something like that, right? So that's basically the structuring. But let's get back to it. Get rid of that. So we have a timeline. We have a timeline first item. We have a timeline dot. What else do we need? Let's style this as well. So in here, we're gonna use a typography, right? To keep the font styling constants, typography, and then we're gonna pass in the title and set that. Oh, no, not that. in there, and let's get rid of that. Okay, so for the typography, I'm gonna give it a variant, so it's gonna be a header, right? So typography, I'm gonna give it a header of a variance of header 6, and then I'm gonna give this a class name as well, so we can give this the proper looks of it. So timeline underscore header. So timeline underscore, I'm just gonna give this a header, whatever. Okay, and then let's format this and it'll look like that. And one thing that I want to style as well is all of this, right? So if you look at our code, we have a timeline separator, and then in there we have a timeline dot and a timeline connector. So the timeline separator is basically this thing here that has the dot and the line, right? So that's the timeline separator. So I'm gonna give the timeline separator for the remaining items something else as well, right? So let's say I'm gonna do what am I gonna do? Let's give this a class name of just a separator, and then we're gonna need some padding on it, and you're gonna see why. Okay, so I'm gonna say separator, if I spell it right, separator. Wait, did I spell it right? Yep. Underscore padding. So we're gonna give this some padding, right? Padding. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, since we're gonna be calling this from a different file, right? We don't even need to have it here. So what I'm gonna do is, okay, I'm gonna export something. Export cons. So a custom timeline separator, and then the item. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna have custom timeline separator, because the separator for the remaining items is different than the first one. Okay, and the remaining items come from different file. Separator is equal to a function that I'm gonna copy this over. Just to separate it, that's it. Nope, something's not right. Something's not right. Oh, right. That, right? So the separator, yeah. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna call the custom timeline separator here, just so it'll be easier, I guess. Okay, so like this timeline item, something like this is what it's gonna look like when we call it from a different file. Okay, and this is gonna be yeah. So we're gonna call all of this as a children, right? So something like that. So as a child, so children, and let's bring this in as well. So children, right? So if there's children, it's gonna display under it, and the children will look something like that, right? Like several of this, I guess. So yeah, I guess we have all of the basics in, hopefully. Okay, so let's start styling it. What else? What I'm gonna do is one more thing actually, just for the purpose of testing, right? What do I search for? Let's search for work. Okay, let's copy this icon, because if you look at this, all of this will have an icon inside, right? So this is the work icon actually. So all of this is gonna have an icon, and I just want to test it already with an icon. So we're gonna place the icon inside the dot, right? So I'm gonna import that icon first, and then let's place the item inside the dot. So timeline dot, and then let's bring in the icon. So normally it's gonna look something like that, right? So the icon is gonna come from a different file as well, because we use a different icon everywhere. So we're trying to make it as dynamic as possible, right? And then it's gonna look something like that. Okay, so we're gonna do this icon, or for now, just for the purpose of testing, I'm gonna do this. Instead of icon, I'm gonna call the work icon, work icon. I guess that should do. Save. Let's see what we have right now. Not bad. Not bad actually, but okay. Format, save, and let's start styling everything. And this is where it gets really tricky and hard. Oh, let me get some water, 1 second. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so I'm gonna make this full screen. I'm gonna split this to the right so we can actually see what we want to style, right? So, oops, no, I didn't want to close that. All right, cool, cool. You know what I'm saying, bro? All right. So to start with, we have the timeline. Let's start doing that. So we have the timeline. Let's give this a padding of 0 because by default, Material UI has some padding to the timeline item, right? So let's give this a padding of 0. And what I'm gonna do is, this is a really bad practice and you shouldn't do that as well, right? But I'm just gonna have important everywhere in my code. Like, I don't really know why it's a bad practice, but I just know it's a bad practice. Okay, but you only use important where it's necessary. But the reason I'm using it is we want to override our code to Material UI's code. And just in case Material UI's code chooses to override our code, we're going to set ours to important, so ours takes higher priority. Okay, I'm not sure if I get it or if I explained that right, but okay. So we have the timeline there. What do we have? We have the timeline header. Let's do the header, I guess. So just the title, the easy stuff first. Okay, so title. Okay, so all the header items are gonna be in here. Okay, so let's do this. So we're gonna call timeline and then go inside and call the timeline header, timeline underscore header. Damn, bro, it's freezing in here. Holy crap. All right, so timeline header, and I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna give this a padding top, okay? And the reason I do that is because we're gonna change the dot. So you're not gonna say it's an action, but you can test it on your own, right? So if you look at it right now, the code is actually not properly aligned to this thing here, okay? And we're gonna add a padding to this as well, and it will be something similar up here. There's gonna be text here, which is not gonna be centered. So you're gonna add some padding to the text that'll make it centered, right? So you can test this on your own, but like just get rid of it and add it again to see what the difference is. But so padding top, let's have it as 7px. Okay, what else do we need? So we need the first item, right? So timeline timeline underscore first item. Let's add a min height to that, because over here we want, if you look at this, the first item has a bigger height. Okay, it's kind of longer than the rest of the items, right? So I'm gonna add a min height to this item that's gonna make it slightly longer than the remaining items, and this is really long, so we're gonna decrease the height of that as well, right? So let's close that, minimize that. What do we want to do? Let's have a min height of 8px. And before I forget, let's add the important just in case. Like in the comments, could you guys put down why it's a bad idea to have the important height? I'll have to Google it maybe, but okay. And then another thing we want to do is this thing here, okay? Like this thing here, okay? So so remember how we said we want to decrease the height of this? So if I look at that, okay, like all of this has its own class name as well, right? That comes directly from Material UI. So I'm gonna target what is it called, a timeline item? Yeah, I'm gonna target this class, okay? And then give this a min height, like get rid of the min height from it, okay? So let's target that class, because this one has a min height as well, which makes it really long, right? So we want to get rid of it, okay? So let's target that. I'm gonna copy and paste that actually, because I know what it's called, okay? Oh man, all of this was like, most of this was in the last video that I recorded that I had to throw out. So we're gonna go into the timeline and then target that element that comes from Material UI and then get rid of the min height. Okay, that's it. And then what else do we have? Okay, here's something else. So if you look at our main application, wait, why do I have both? What's happening? Let me close this one. If you look at the main application, it only has items to the right and not to the left. But if you look at materials timeline, okay, like it has items to the left and right, right? This is how it originally is. And if I console, oops, I don't want to do that. If I inspect elements, you're gonna see it actually. So we have an item here and we have an item there, which is hidden, okay? Because we're not putting it there. So by default, everything gets aligned kind of to the center, right? But we want to get rid of everything to the left. And if I click on this, okay, you're gonna say this is what the class name is: material UI timeline item missing opposite contents. Okay, so missing opposite content basically means and it's a before. Okay, so we're gonna target that, and that basically means what they have as a default is like show nothing in there, right? But let's target that class name and just have a display of none, so it gets rid of it completely. We just don't need that. Okay, and I'm gonna copy the code for that again. Go back to our code and that. So if I save, you're gonna see what's gonna happen. Look at the background, right? Look at the background. So save, let's go back here and see what happened. Everything moved to the left because everything on the left side of it got removed. Now we're gonna have to fix the padding and stuff for it. So like padding in there, padding for items in there for it to be properly aligned, for example, right? Let's see. I'm also gonna add a title here just for the sake of it, right? Just for now, save. So we're gonna have a title up there. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, exactly. So if I remove the padding top here, save that. You see, it's not like properly aligned. It's more towards the top. But if I save now, do you see it moved? I don't know. But yeah, it did move. But okay. So yeah, so that's the title. Obviously, I'm gonna get rid of the quotations. All of this is gonna come from the props, right? Oh man, so what do we need to do next? We've done the header, we've done the first item, we've done that, we've done this. I guess let's target the header dot now. Okay, so I'm gonna call timeline. Okay, I'm gonna call timeline, and then let's call in the header dot the timeline. What did underscore dot underscore header, right? All right, let's do a couple stuff. So first things first, you want to give this a color of black. So that will be the text or the icon, right? So color, what do you want to do? Black, save. Okay, so yeah, it became black now. What I want to do, the background color. Okay, now this is where things get interesting. So look at this, okay? So if I do yellow, it's gonna get yellow, right? But we don't want to, like, look at the application here, right? This exact same background color is being called in so many different places, right? So we're going to create a CSS variable with this exact color, and you can set it to whatever color you want, right? So this exact color, which is that FFC500, okay? And whenever we want to call this color, we're just going to call the variable that we created instead of like typing all of this down every time. And just in case we want to change the color, for example, like have a look at what I have here, right? Want to change that. So you see everything changes. We don't have to go to the code and refer to every single background color and change the color. It's just going to be in one place, right? So you can do something like this as well. We're not going to be building this, but you can literally do something like this with what I'm going to show you right now, right? So I'm going to go into the app.css because everything, all the components and pages are called inside the app.css. And I'm going to create a CSS variable here. So I'm going to say for the root, okay, so for everything, for root, let's create a variable. Okay, this is how you declare a variable. So I'm just going to call it main color. You can call it whatever you want. Main color, I'm going to say it's going to be, it was FFC500, right? So that's the exact color they have. So let's save that. Okay. And then in here, instead of saying yellow, I'm going to say, let's refer to that variable. And then the variable name was main. Show up. Dang, main color. Hopefully it works. I don't know. Let's see if it worked. Oh yeah, it did work. It did work. Nice. So now we have the exact same color as here. Right? Right, my brother. All right, cool. So that's for the dot header. So right now we want to change the font size as well. This is like massive, so I want to change the font size to small. How do I do that? Font size to small, and I want to give this a padding as well, right? Like right now it looks really bad. Want to have some padding between the icon and the border of it, right? So I'm gonna say padding 2px, something small. Wait, nothing happened. Nothing happens. If I do an importance, let's have an importance everywhere. There. Wait, save. There, and there. Importance, and then that, and save. Okay, maybe it did. Wait, if I had 12. Wait, no. Oh, okay, yeah, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. But I just have it as 2px because the icon we're gonna use is kind of different and not this one, right? So yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, the icon is gonna be that one there, probably. We'll see. Okay, so we have that as 2px. What else do we need? I guess for the dot, nothing else, right? So there was the dot up here for the header, and remember we have the remaining items as well, right? So the remaining items is basically we have this and that we have to style, the timeline dot and the timeline padding. So I'm gonna go ahead and say remaining items. Oops. Okay, and inside the remaining items, again, let's go inside timeline and then call that timeline dot, but this time it's not going to be underscore header. And in there, we're going to say the same thing again. So color, let's have it as black. Okay, just going to copy and paste everything. That's how you do it. So color black. What else do we need? We need the background color as well as the main color. We're not going to have a font size small this time. Okay, because if you look here, we're actually gonna give in this icon ourselves, right? So we're gonna like define the font size to whatever we want. We don't always want it to have small, right? So font size small and padding of wait, you know what? So this is why. So this one needs 10 and this one needs 2. Now we get it. Now I get it. Okay, so much better, right? So 2px. Okay, cool. So that's that. What else do we need? So what's different? So if you look at this and that, okay, have a look at this. The line color for this one is much more darker gray than the line color for this one, right? Look at it closely. You see it? You see it? You see it? You see it? Okay, so we're gonna change the line color as well. Let's bring this back here. Okay, so for the line color, again, if you go here, all you need to do is like literally to duplicate any website. Like I'm talking Google, Facebook, anything, right? You can literally duplicate the UI within like no time. Just inspect elements, go there, select the line. Oh, this is hard. Whatever, like if you select the line, okay, there we go. So border left is EEE. You see that? So we're gonna give it that color, right? So we're not gonna have a border since Material UI already gives us the line, but what we're gonna do is target that line. So going to target, going to timeline and then target this thing here. This is the class name from Material UI. So if I show it to you, you think I'm lying, bro? Alright, inspect elements. So let's look at that line, and that's the class name for it, right? This comes from Material UI. So we're targeting that class name and giving it a background color of EEE. Save. See what happened? See what happened? Control Z. Save. See what happened? Control Shift Z. Save. See what happened? See what happened? See what happened? Anyway, okay. So that's there. What else? 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 What else am I missing? Wait. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'm missing a couple of stuff. So another thing we want to do is for the Oh, okay. So we're gonna make the icon smaller. We're actually gonna make it smaller right here, okay, for this header, okay. So let's do that. So I'm gonna say, let's go into timeline, and then go into timeline header, and then we're gonna, so material UI, have a class name for this as well. I'm not gonna keep showing you the class names every time. You can just right click, inspect element, and look for it. But the class name for it is MUI SVG icon dash root. Okay, so that's the class name for the icon, and we're gonna give this some stuff as well. So let's copy and paste. Okay, so go into timeline, go into that, and then let's give it a color. We don't want it to be black. We want it to match that, which is slightly like really dark gray. Okay, and the CSS color I found is like that, and then a font size of 20. So if I save, let's see what happened. See that? Magic, bro. And another thing. So another thing that I want to do is what do I need to do? Wait, give me a second, right? Let me just see if I'm missing something or not. We have the timeline, we have the timeline header, we have that, we have the first item, we have the root, we have the dot header, separator padding. Okay. Okay, so what we're missing is, do you see that? Okay, it's not properly aligned, right? We want to have some padding to the left for it to like come push to the right, and it should be properly aligned. So again, I'm just gonna copy and paste the code. This video is like 30 minutes already. I don't know, hopefully you guys are learning something. So what I'm gonna do is copy this line and just paste it somewhere. I don't know. Okay, just paste it right there. Save, and there we go. So the padding is proper. So now it's properly aligned, right? And we're starting to like make it look so much like that, Something that we're missing is, if you look at this, this is outlined while this isn't. So we're gonna change that to outlined as well. Cool. But one more CSS thing that I want to add, and we're gonna look at it later. Just add it for now. Okay. Just have this right there. So for when we in the children, okay, we're gonna give the item a class name of timeline content, and that's gonna be have a padding top and a margin bottom. Okay, just for everything to be like, when we have multiple items, you're gonna see it like it's all gonna be properly aligned. Okay, but just that, so just paste it in, and yeah, we're gonna call this class name later. Save that, and I guess we, oh yeah, wait, so for the dot, okay, we want the variance to be outlined. Save. Come on. Oh, it's almost there. It's almost there. So the variance is outlined, but something's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. Is it the back? Okay, so the background color is kind of weird in it. So let's add the background color. Let me find it in my CSS. Okay, there we go. There we go. No, that's not it. That's not it. There's something that I'm missing. I don't know what I'm missing, but there's something that I'm missing. But we're close enough, right? We're like really close. It's just a tiny background color in there. Wait, this is weird. Okay, it's just a tiny coloring in there. So wait, if I refer to my CSS, what am I missing actually? Do we have a border? Oh, no way. Okay. Yo, yeah, you guys should go watch Calvin Hart swearing for the first time. Like, it's a funny video, like on YouTube. It's so good, like so good. So this thing here is supposed to have a border color. So the dots in here, right? The dot. So if I zoom in, look at this. The border color is gray, but the background color is yellow. But instead, okay, it should be border color, which should be yellow, and nothing in the background color. There we go. So wait, we've done it, mate. We've done it. You know what I'm saying, bro? All right, I guess that's it for the timeline, I guess. So let's get rid of that. Okay, we don't need that now, because all of this is gonna come from other items. And okay, so the title is gonna come in as well, and the icon is gonna come in as well, right? So the icon is gonna come in as well. Okay, so this is the proper timeline no, come on, don't give us an error, bro. What am I missing? Unterminated JSX syntax. Where? What line? Timeline separator. Wait, there's the dotted thing there. So if I do timeline and then close it, no, the other way. Save. Let's go. Yeah, okay, yeah. Because the icon's missing, which is gonna come from the prop, and the title is gonna come from the prop, and the children is gonna come from the prop as well. So at the moment, our timeline component is exactly that, and it's properly built, and we're gonna reuse this 3 times, right? But yeah, I guess that should it. So next video, let's just go back to the profile component and fill out everything again, right? Cool, man. 30 minutes. Holy crap. GG's. Might.